Hello everyone, and welcome to Imagination's Astrological Lunar Magic series. This moon phase is for March 21st, 2021, the first quarter moon in Cancer. So before we get started, I would like to take some time to acknowledge where I am recording this video from, and I will see you soon at our wheel. In the spirit of respect, reciprocity, and truth, we honor and acknowledge that together we live, work, and play on this land of the people of traditional Treaty 7 territory. The Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksika, Kenai, Piikani. The Tsuut'ina Nations, Iarhe Nakoda, and Region 3 Métis Nation of Alberta. So this is our wheel for this first quarter moon in Cancer. You can see at the bottom of the wheel we have the moon with the Cancer symbol and all of the aspects, which we were only looking at the major Ptolemaic aspects, going out for this time period. Just as a quick overview, we have a sextile of the moon to Uranus in Taurus. We have squares to Chiron, Sun, and Venus. We have trines to Mercury and Saturn. So let's head over to our glyphs, and first off, I just want to talk about the moon. As we know, our moon card is represented by the High Priestess, and Cancer, based on the Hermetic Golden Dawn principles, would be the Chariot card. Now, I know different people out there have different associations when it comes to tarot, so I wanted to make sure I shared with what methodology I'm using. So first, let's talk about our moon in Cancer. The moon in the sign of Cancer is within its dignity. It's the symbol or sign that it rules and has power over. So this moon is going to be extra potent. It's going to bring up a lot from our subconscious, our emotional being. It may bring up a lot of sense of nurturing. It may bring up all kinds of things about our sensitivities, subtleties, and things that we may not even be aware of, because the moon is also our subconscious realm. The moon can also represent maternal-based figures, nurturers, doesn't have to be gender specific. And so themes around engaging with those types of figures in our lives is also a possibility during this time. Let's look again at our cards, and we will see that, again, this can be seen in the card of the High Priestess. She rules or guards this curtain between Boaz and Jachin, the pillars to the temple, and on the other side is the hidden realm or the unseen realm, and she sits in front of it. So she is the gatekeeper of wisdom to the subconscious, to the intuition. She is our inner knowing, basically. She is the balance to our conscious selves. Again, this is not gender specific, this is just due to the wording of this card, basically. And she is our moon card. So again, we have notions of intuition, emotional sensitivity, all coming to play here. It's magnified from tarot perspective with the Chariot card. And the Chariot card is quite different than when you think of Cancer as a sign. So we have the Chariot card here, and what I want to point out is the interesting sphinxes in the front, which are both in black and white colors. And we can see the similarity between the pillars that the High Priestess rests between of Jachin and Boaz. I may be saying those names wrong too, by the way. I apologize if I am. Please correct me. So yeah, there's a mythos behind this card that the individual sitting within the chariot sings a song that awakens the sphinxes, that brings or begins the motion of the chariot moving forward. There is, as you can see, moons on this individual as well, the starry night sky. So there's a lot more imagery that we can go into, but just for this sake, there is a lot about the driving force of our intuition that can, bring us forward in life, about following what we innately know to be right for ourselves. Now, this is just the moon energy, the power of a growing first quarter moon. It means that we're heading towards the full moon. We are gaining power and strength. So, with this, it's important to know that things from our subconscious will really be a driving force overall. Now, that could be beneficial, that could also be detrimental. There is lots to look at when it comes to the aspects. So I'm going to slide these over to the side, and wow, can't get these straight. There we go. And we're going to head back over to our wheel. So the first thing I would like to look at is the Uranus Taurus sextile. And what that basically is looking at things that can come up out of the blue with that Uranus energy. It's generally individualistic, sudden spontaneity. It can be like a sudden gust of wind. And Taurus, as an astrological sign, is earthy, stable, slow. So there is a bit of a contrast there, a little bit of a heaviness with Taurus, and yet an fast instantaneousness of Uranus. So those two things may come up together. Taurus is also a very nurturing, wanting stability, materials, values, family type of sign. So there is a uniqueness and quality that Uranus will bring to this sign in and of itself. That is kind of just the overall astrology mini discussion, and we can go now and look at the cards and the aspects. So our Fool card is what represents Uranus, and the Hierophant is what represents Taurus. Sorry, I'm a little compulsive when it comes to trying to make things straight. Anyway, I'll leave it alone. So the sextile here, sextiles, if we've talked before, I like to call them the possibilities and the opportunities. It's not like guarantee. There is some ease there, there is flow, but it's not just like an open channel. So it brings us potential that we need to grab a hold of and use. When we are talking about the Fool card is always about new beginnings, new journeys, believing in just going for it, in taking the journey even though you don't know what will happen, even though there could be lots of pitfalls that could come up, or lots of benefit, lots of amazing people that you can see along the way. It's about just taking that first step, about going forward, being your unique self in the world, going on the journey. When we look at the Hierophant, or Hierophant, camera moment, let's switch over this way. When we look at the Hierophant, we have structures. This is very much the problems. Let me come right back to you once I fix that. Wireless technology, folks. It's a grand old time in connectivity issues. Moving on, the Hierophant. Our systems, our structures, our traditions. The things that we have established and communally agreed upon. This can be our religions, our governments, our societies, our cultures, all of it. And so we have the Fool, which is about taking new journeys, new endeavors, new beginnings, and the Hierophant. Now the Hierophant also, in tarot specifically, can talk about higher level commitments too that may go through these institutions and organizations, etc. So that could also be a playing factor here, but on the larger scale, I would say it's about looking at maybe creating your own new traditions, challenging your notions of traditions that already exist. Now, it's not to say that all traditions are bad. They're not. But there is an aspect here of possibility, of stuff coming up from our subconscious that's going to be a driving and motivating factor for us to make big change in our life, about going in new directions, possibly building new systems, possibly having new higher level shifts and commitments, or creating our own traditions, or finding some innovative way of being able to be emotionally fulfilled by undergoing a new possible spiritual journey. You could say that as well. So there's lots of ways that this could play out, but this is the overall kind of effect that's happening here. So think about the possibilities in your life at this moment. Check in with yourself during this time and ask yourself, how am I feeling? Really, that's the big question. How am I feeling? Am I making decisions? Am I being drawn towards something? There's lots of questions around following your gut instinct, following your intuition from a beneficial place versus being driven by past woundings, for example, or from fear-based places. So this is currently the opportunity of trusting your intuition to lead you in the right direction for this new journey, to be able to grow and expand yourself during this time frame. So we're going to go back and look at our wheel, which we're now going to do the shit sandwich method. We're going to next look at the square energy to Chiron, the Sun, and Venus in Aries. So let's head over to look at cards and glyphs. And I forgot to pull out, I normally like to try and pull out the 9 of Wands for Chiron, and I forgot, and now is not the time to be going to dig for them. Actually, you know what? I have a pause button. Let me do that. And with the magic of technology, shabam! 9 of Wands. Now this, based on the Golden Dawn, does not represent Chiron, but I just think that as a card in and of itself, imagery-wise, it's a perfect representation of a wounded warrior. So I like to use this one for representing Chiron. Chiron, the Sun, maybe we'll put it that way. Actually, let's put it that way. Who knows? And the Empress. So Chiron, the Sun, and Venus in Emperor energy, in the energy of Aries. So first, let's talk about the astrology behind this. Chiron is our wounded healer, so it can bring up a lot of stuff from our past where we have had pain or hurt. Oh goodness, I froze. Yay. Moving on. The Sun is how we consciously express ourselves in the world, how we see a part of our identity, what we portray, how we are consciously engaging, what we logically know. And it's not entirely just logic, but it's the idea of consciousness and awareness rather than something hidden more in the subconscious. Venus is about our values, our morals, and aesthetics. It's about diplomacy, and it's about how we want to be seen by other people as well. So what we would like to be known for. And then we have all of that clustered in Aries. Now, Aries is an energy that is cardinal fire. It is initiatory. It is energy sparking. It is that instant drive. So a lot of stuff can come up, astrologically speaking, just in this energy of woundings coming up that we are consciously aware of, that we can see, that we're being triggered by, and that may be around our values, identities, how we want to be seen, etc. So it can bring up some anger because it's Aries. So there can be some aggression that comes up with that, some contention, some issues. When we look at the cards, wrong button, here we go. We have our wounded warrior. We have the Sun and Venus. Now, because this is a challenging aspect, let's flip them all around and talk about reversal tarot, from my interpretation anyway. So we have challenges with trusting our own instincts and trusting our intuition and feeling really stuck. Stuck because we're not ready to move forward yet. We still have wounds that we haven't healed that are being brought to the surface right now. We may be getting triggered. We may be feeling not quite our best. We may feel that the world is not seeing us in the light that we want to. We may feel drained and as if we have nothing to give. We feel like we may not have foundation underneath our feet, or that when anger stuff comes up, it could be external people putting this on you, and it could also be a reaction that you bring to a scenario. It could be overbearing. The Emperor can be very dominant, and so it can be kind of oppressive type of dominance. It's trying to rule no matter what cost, because there's a lot of lack of self-confidence that comes here, and so we may be more reactionary of trying to make sure that we aren't seen in a bad light. So with that being said, it's very important for us to take this opportunity to grow. Again, when I talk about being aware during this time about what's coming up for you, you may be questioning a lot of the times, like, I don't know if I can trust this. Is this coming from a good place or a bad place? The number one thing that I like to suggest to people is to try and sit with the issue and ask yourself, what is motivating me to do this? Now, an example could be, hold on. Say, I know it's a pandemic, but let's just say you want to travel somewhere. Are you traveling because someone hurt you where you are and you want to get away from it? That's some Chiron unhealed issues. That is maybe not totally listening to your intuition or gut and making things from a fear-based place. Now, if you're making a decision about moving somewhere and you're more so excited and energized and you just feel like, yeah, this is really where I want to go, this is my thing, that's following the intuition, that's the movement going forward, that's the not carrying all that pain and baggage with you. Because basically anytime we try to run from something, it just comes with us because it's within us. So with that being said, it's important during this time, allow yourself to feel. It's not about not feeling, okay? But ask yourself in the moment, take a deep breath and say, why am I feeling this? Does it have anything to do with feeling stuck, not trusting, having fear, feelings of woundedness that may be from childhood, or it could be recent? Is it about not having self-confidence or personal strength or validation? Is it about fear of being wrong, or seeing as if you're not a good contributor in some way. A lot of these are our own thoughts and projections, our own self-narratives. Are you being over-domineering? Are you being overbearing? Are you having aggression that comes up? Whether it could be, passive aggressiveness with all that water, or it could be just direct aggressiveness. These are all important things that I would like to ask everyone. We're going to head back over to our wheel now to look at the next thing, which is actually positive. Wonderful. So lastly, to finish off the shit sandwich method. Sorry, I really like saying that. I hope this is not offensive. We're going to finish with our slice of bread, which is the trine energy of Mercury in Pisces and Saturn in Aquarius. It wouldn't technically be, I just want to note, a trine to Saturn, but because it's both the blue lines right now, we're going to just, it's probably more of a quincunx, and I'm going to lump it in there as a creative opportunity, and I just want to make that distinction so that no one who knows astrology is like, that was so wrong. I get that I'm doing something totally different here. So I appreciate your patience with me. Let's go back to the cards. So we have the usual, and the Magician is our Mercury card. The Moon is Pisces. The World is Saturn, and the Star is Aquarius. We're going to talk a little bit about the astrological energies first, but I want to just briefly touch on this trine. So we know that trines are an easy flowing energy between elements, which will really be this, because this is water, and this is air, so this is technically not part of the trine, part of the quincunx. Anyway, just address that. And it doesn't necessarily always mean good, and I always want to reinforce that. It's just that it's more open as an energy pathway. It's very easy to flow because it's within the same element. So this can be of benefit, this can be of detriment. We're going to look at it from like what the positive aspects can be. First, to talk about Mercury in Pisces. We have Mercury, who is our fabulous gender neutral being, the one who can go to the realm of the gods and go all the way down to the underworld and to the world of men and pass information and communication between them all. So it's a great communicator, and it is the one that can pass through all the realms and has no gender affiliation. Ooh, love it. It's in the sign of Pisces, and Pisces is very mutable water. Is that right? Yeah, mutable water. It is mutable water. It's like the ocean. Like all water becomes the ocean. There is no form. There are no boundaries. It is just everything. So Pisces very much can be the dissolution or dissolving of boundaries, technical issues, the dissolving of boundaries, the dissolving of identities, the dissolving of walls, etc. It is about being open, so open to receiving everything. So we have great communicator in this sign of being extremely open. Lovely, right? Then we have a Saturn, which is our father time, Chronos, our structures in society, our traditional habits, culture, etc. And it's in the sign of Aquarius, which Aquarius is also humanitarian, which is globally conscious, very much about caring for the collective. So overall, that has a lot of flow about how we feel emotionally with the moon, what comes up in our subconscious around how we want to communicate with others, how we want to be open and receptive and talking both to the people in our direct community, but also I would say on the internet, for example, because we have this collective narrative with Aquarius. So how do we want to talk on the global scale as well as our personal scale? When we get into this larger global aspect, it's always a duality that you can look at it in the micro of yourself and in the macro of the world. So we can also then think about how can we hold space and structure for different societies, different communities, etc. because of Saturn. So there's a lot of flow and possibility. When we're talking about a quincunx, I'll just add this in, it's kind of like creative tension. So there is opportunity and flow to find creative ways, astrologically speaking, to accept multiple societies in the greater collective, multiple cultures, the mosaic, if you will. Now let's talk about it from the astrological, no, lies from the tarot. Got a little excited there. So, we have the Magician and the Moon. Well, what do we know about our Magician? Our Magician is the all-powerful, masterful, I am control, I can create my own destiny, I choose my own path, I have all that I need. I have the wands, I have the cups, I have the pentacles, I have the sword, I have the wisdom and the knowledge. So basically the Magician is your manifester. And we manifest all the time in our lives. Everything that we do is a way of manifesting. Sorry if you can hear the train right now. Hopefully you can't, but it kind of distracted me for a minute. And then we have the Moon card. And the Moon can be about illusions, for sure, things that need to come to light, lies that we may be telling ourselves, but also it's a duality between, I like the dogs always in this, the feral and the domesticated, and it's about finding our way, about asking ourselves, what do we want to manifest? What do we want to bring into our reality? What is it that we need to illuminate for ourselves? So if you're trusting within your intuition to drive you or lead you in the right direction, there also will come a sense of empowerment, a sense of magician, that you can communicate with the greater world, that you can have this openness, but also from a tarot perspective that you can create your own reality with confidence by that sense of openness, by challenging the illusions, the ideas that have been there before us, dissolving it away. So ask yourself, what are your thoughts, what are your beliefs with that whole Mercury energy? And what can you release? What are lies? What are conditioning? Or, basically preconditioning by society or thoughts. This is very much the challenge yourself to be able to expand yourself into a more, dare I say, inclusive kind of reality. With the World card and the Star card, this has been coming up for us before because Saturn is a slower moving planet and just recently gone into the sign of Aquarius on December 21st of 2020. And this is about ending old cycles, closing chapters, beginning new, and having faith and trusting that this will get better, that it will heal, and that it's all for a purpose to something greater that is positive, shall we say. So when we talk about endings of cycles, I think the narrative of having to constantly check in with our communication, our thoughts, our beliefs, dissolving that, being more open and inclusive, all plays very much into this narrative from a tarot card perspective of there is a reason that this is all happening, and it's so that we can shift from one thing that's no longer serving us, that we can close that chapter and begin a new one and start writing afresh. And what do we want to see in that new chapter? What is the first paragraph? What is the first sentence? What is the first word? I'm a little funny right now. I don't know why. Interesting energy. So that's really what's going on with the cards. I will take them all and kind of try to do a little recap if we can. So we have our intuitive, sensitive, inner knowing a self, being in its power, growing, leading us forward, trusting that it will bring us in the right direction. We have that right direction, the new beginning, the new pathway, that could be about different systems, that could be about new spiritual journeys and development, that could be about different ways that society can be. We have challenges with, so many cards. We have challenges with our previous woundings that we're not entirely ready to, well, some that we've healed, basically, I should say. Some that we have healed, some that we have not. Some that we definitely need to be working on. They have to do with our self-confidence and our self-esteem and our self-worth. We may not be entirely happy or confident with those issues that are coming up. Embrace them, allow them to come up, because they tell you a lot about yourself and how to be able to work on it. Things around your value, your aesthetics, how you want to be seen, how you want to be treated, feeling like you are part of the group, etc., are also part of the things that can come up. Anger, rage, upsettedness, overbearingness, domination in the not good way can totally be coming up at this time too. They're all here to challenge us to grow as individuals, because we are manifesting reality, and the growth is part of what will show up in what we manifest. It's about dissolving illusions, things that no longer serve us, things that are not necessarily true. So start questioning yourself, your beliefs, and what is pre-programming from the old narrative. Because that narrative is ending, and it's time to write a new chapter, book, whatever you want to go with here for this metaphor. And this new chapter, we have to trust that it is going to be good. We want to have faith that we can do something better. It's hard when you have some pessimistic tendencies, for sure, but we definitely need to have that sense of trust that all of this is possible for its good reason. And I certainly know, given the landscape of things during this past year plus, is rather difficult for a lot of people to have trust. It's a lot of overwhelming information and affecting our lives, etc. But this is an important one about new beginnings for the collective that will be better than it has been. So everyone, that is our astrological reading for the first quarter moon. Please, you know what to do for the YouTubes with the likes, comments, shares. It really helps out the channel. And I also want to let you know that you can find me over on Instagram at imaginationwitch.com. I'll be putting up on screen my other playlist, which is about tarot readings, but on Instagram you can go over and see zodiacal tarot readings. Sorry, I tripped over my words there. And more information, astrologically speaking. So please check it out. Love to hear from you, and we'll talk to you next moon phase, the full moon.